Okay, we came down to the driving range. Again, this is a tree I really want to show you because I know what happened to this tree. And one other thing is, you know, like I said, when Alan Fenner was out here, the arborist, he really thought we only had, the oak trees are nice and they're definitely bigger than you'll find in any woods because of the fertilizer and the watering that we do to this. And again, this is just a theory on my part, but when you're fertilizing these trees and they're getting all the water and the size of them, they're probably even a little bit more unhealthy than they should be. But you can't avoid that. They're taking up too many nutrients, and they're getting more branches and more leaves because of that. So that's part of the issue that we have here too, is because when you have 1,000 trees, the bigger trees need to be trimmed every 5 years. That's almost impossible to do here, first of all. But the other thing is when you're trimming these big trees, if they don't do it properly with clean cuts, and they don't take off the limbs that they really should, and they unbalance the weight on the tree, so to speak, they can harm the tree too. So anytime you're working with these big trees, these tree companies really need to know what they're doing when they're trimming. From what I've been told, it's easier to damage a big tree like this than it is a smaller tree like that over there. So even the trimming's got to be careful. And when you notice all these trees that we're taking down, there's one thing I can say for sure is the golf course is going to look bigger, but it's going to look a lot cleaner. Again, I'm a tree hugger. I hate seeing trees cut down, but I do think it's going to benefit our golf course dramatically. I think it's going to be a much cleaner look, and it's something that we have to do. That's the most important thing. This is something that we've got to address. So we're at the driving range, and this tree was one of the first trees that we looked at after Superstorm Sandy, and it's a good one for me to explain exactly what's going on. So I'm always monitoring the trees out here. We're always looking up ahead to see if we have dead branches or anything. And this tree, the last year and a half, this left side, the leaves have not been right. They've been dark, they never got green, and it just looked like this side of the tree was dying. Now, here's what happened in the storm. And this is the tree that Alan Fenner thought for sure that we would have to remove. He did not think that it was going to recover from Superstorm Sandy. So in a hurricane, as we all know, the winds are going each way. So once the eye of the hurricane gets past us, the wind direction completely shifts. And with big trees like this, especially, that's why the Northeast took so much damage from a hurricane, is when the eye of the storm went by and it was rotating this way, the tailwinds completely shift direction and rock the tree. You can tell, and he noticed this right away. If you look at this right here, the way the tree is moving up like that, this tree got completely rocked. It got shook in two quick directions from that hurricane, and it damaged the tree. Obviously, we could see how hollow it is in here, but this is from the storm. It completely got twisted, this tree, and it did root damage. This is an easy tree to identify. It's dying, and it's dying pretty quick. I mean, it took 10 years to die, but that's relatively quick for an old tree. We're going to notice when we cut this down that it's going to be hollow at the bottom there, and there's going to be a lot of rot. But the interesting thing is just look at where you start from the bottom and look how the bark has shifted. So this is definitely a hurricane damaged tree. So this one's going to be taken down, and there's quite a few that I can't go over all of them. Some of them you'll notice, some of them you won't. But this is why we're removing the trees this year. We're trying our best to make things safe in certain areas. Last year over there, for instance, we had a huge limb fall on 9, and I got a call. The gentleman was on 2 green, and he could hear that limb crack. That's scary. So we just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. We are doing the right thing. But when you see the chainsaws out here, this is why we're doing it. So that's it for today, and I'll try to show you some of the dead wood that we're getting out of these trees next.